Okay everyone, I got asked to actually make videos on the Little Cup meta for each one. And I think it's a good idea to let you know why, like, Bronzor is just really freaking strong. I mean, look at these stats, bro! It maxes out at near 500. Anything that's a steel type is incredibly oppressive because in a little cup like this, there's not a lot of ghost slash dark slash bug, or not really ghosts, like I would say ghost and darkness like you saw here, that are really oppressive against Bronzor. I know it looks absolutely ridiculous and it looks like I just don't know how to hype it up. If you have this, you have an advantage in the little cup. It's incredibly powerful. Not in the sense that it has high attack, but it's extremely bulky. The thing about Bronzor is Bronzor sports a very good moveset. As you see here, it has Confusion. So Confusion does heavy damage. It also has Side Shock, Gyro Ball, and Heavy Slam. In other words, it's able to take shields. It could tank a ton of damage. It looked as ridiculous as it looks. This thing is going to eat a ton of your dust if you haven't spent on it already. Now, the thing about Bronzor, even though it's weak to Dark Fire, Ghost, and Ground, there's not a lot of fast moves that are incredibly oppressive. The thing about Bronzor makes it so good, those Charmers and Razor Leaf users, you resist everything that taps you down. Normally, Steel would be weak to Fighting types, and there's a few in this meta that let you take on Steel types. Unfortunately, because it's Psychic type, it does neutral damage. It has a ton of resistances. There's not a lot of tap moves that do heavy damage against Bronzor's typing. It's just really powerful. I wanted to do a deep dive on it, not because I got asked to about it, but just because, like, is it worth to power up a Bronzor for the Little Cup? As you see here, like I said, incredibly powerful. However, it's stupid expensive. The thing is, the one you're going to power up is likely around level 32 to 30. It costs 50,000 dust. I'm not 50,000, yeah, it's 50,000 dust alone to power it up. And I think one of the most difficult thing is there's not a lot of Bronzors out there that you're going to use. And for long-term use, you're not going to use this thing for long-term use unless they make another Little Cup. So it's very, very powerful just because of its stats. Because of its stats, even if you do kill it, you're going to give up a lot to kill the Bronzor in Go Battle League. Alright, if you guys haven't seen my analysis on Little Cup, I put it in the description below. But as you see here, the top 3 are incredibly oppressive, especially who's at number 1. For the Little League rankings, Bronzor ranks number 1 across the board. There is literally, just to put it across you, all number 1s in every other league, there is no number 1 that across the board takes every category except consistency, literally. It is the number 1 lead, switch, closer, charger, and attacker across the board. It's insane just how powerful Bronzor is. If Blissey and Dialga had a baby, Bronzor would be their child. It's tanky, puts a lot of shield pressure, and it's safe in all positions, even if it loses. As you see here, it's negative, like, it has a ton of key wins. It beats Wynod, Shelmet, Cottony, and it's incredibly powerful. It even beats Seal. Now, if you look at the back row for its key losses, the thing about Bronzor is that even if you do beat it, these aren't bad ratings. A 570, 694, 506, these aren't bad ratings. Yes, you win, but it's not like it. You're going to give up a lot to kill Bronzor. And I'll show you why in the Matrix. As you see, Bronzor is the number 1. I don't need to give a huge introduction of Bronzor. It's incredibly powerful. It's so powerful that even Stunky, something that supposedly beats it, it's 15 points behind. In the closer, it's 20 points behind Dino, and why not as a switch, is 14 points behind. In other words, there's no category except for the Chargers and Attackers category, where, well, actually just the Chargers category. There's only one category where Bronzor isn't plus 10 points better than its opponent overall. Shelmet is like the only other, like, literally Shelmet and Shelgon are the only two better or like, there's a bunch of Chargers that are better, but it eclipses every category. Now, the only thing it doesn't eclipse in is consistency. Now, the reason why is because Bronzor, a lot of things are going to target Bronzor. There's a lot of Mons over here that are very consistent. And as you see here, they're most dependable. Bronzor is incredibly dependable overall just because of its stats, but there's a lot of things out there that can beat it. Well, the keywords can. And you're going to see why I say can very. Alright, so here I put Bronzor. Now, you can't actually see the Little Cup meta here. I actually made a custom listing with the Little Cup meta so I can show you the shield scenarios. As you see, I have 2 shield. If we put Bronzor in the lead, what happens? So as you see here, Bronzor loses to, in the mirror, well, that's going to happen. You're going to lose to Dino, Stunky, Purrloin, Drifloon, and Munchlax. If you can get a Munchlax that's low enough. It is very hard to find a Great League Munchlax. But Munchie actually takes you out with a pretty good rating in the 2 shield scenario. As you see here, Munchlax is actually able to lick you down, force the shield, and body slam you to death, which is pretty nuts. Now, to keep in mind, Munchlax will lose the 1 shield. Yeah, Munchlax actually loses, and you can't go straight body slam. You have to hit the bulldoze. If you're unable to hit the bulldoze, I think Bronzor wins. Yes, so this one's bait dependent. So you don't want... Munchlax doesn't look very good. Against Drifloon, however, Drifloon's a very interesting mon. As you see here, Drifloon, if you have one, you can straight Icy Wind, and then you can bait with Shadow Ball, but what happens if you go straight Icy Wind? Bronzor wins. So you have to land the Shadow Ball to beat Bronzor with Drifloon. Purrloin looks like it to be one of the more solid picks. It looks like Sucker Punch really does some damage, but you come out of this matchup with 2 yeah, this is kind of bad. I mean, yes, you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose 2 shields. So in this scenario, you're going to lose. But that's a lot of energy you can farm with Night Slash. So this is a very interesting scenario. Actually, this is very interesting. Because, like, Purrloin seems to be a really hard counter to Bronzor. And so does Shadow Skunky. And it looks like the interesting part is even though Dragon Breath is resisted, Dino is actually able to beat Bronzor in the 2 shield. In fact, Bronzor loses all matchups with Dino. I think it's because you do resist Confusion with the Dark type. Which is the fact. You actually do 4 damage since it's resisted, and doesn't look too well for Bronzor against Dino. So that's a 2 shield. In the 1 shield, this is what we get. So in the 1 shield, you lose pretty much against the same things: Dino, Stunky, Purrloin, Cubone, but you beat Drifloon, you beat Munchlax, so you only lose out of the top 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you only lose to 25% of the top 20, which is really good. As you see here, these ratings, well, other than Shadow Stun Tank and Purrloin, losing to Dino and Bronzor isn't that bad, because if you look at the ratings, this isn't like this is not a hard loss. For example, if I use Purrloin at 398, you're gonna have a little bit of HP left, but see, you only live with 18 HP, so you'll still have a Night Slash banked for the back, but you're within farm down range in the 1 shield. So it's really interesting on how this plays out for this meta. So I would say if you're using Bronzor, bring it to the 1 shield or try to win a positive matchup. But because of the RPS nature of Little League, that might not be possible. Well, we can see. So with Bronzor, it's just really strong. Like in the 0 shield, you lose against 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 out of 13. So you're still going to beat a lot of things with Bronzor in many shield scenarios, which is pretty nuts. As you see here, you beat Wynaut, you beat Cottonee, you beat the Lickitung, Seal, Vulpix. You even beat Vulpix. Bronzor is so strong that even if you do have a Vulpix against it, you still lose in certain scenarios. As you see, Bronzor actually beats Vulpix in this scenario, which is nuts. Even though it gets that buff from Wild Charge. That's just how bulky Bronzor is. Now, it seems to be Dark is Bronzor's semi-kryptonite. As you see, Purrloin is very powerful against it. I would say that's probably the best meta pick against it, is Purrloin. So that's Bronzor in the 0s. Now, this is where it kind of gets nuts. This is Bronzor in the 0s. What happens if Bronzor had shield advantage? Bronzor only loses to Purrloin. So coming out of shield advantage, if you don't have and this isn't a hard loss either. If you look over here in this scenario, Purrloin still only lives with 4 HP. So, and this is assuming you boot, like, yeah, it only lives with 4 HP left, which means if a little bit of damage is here, you lose. So this isn't even a super hard loss against Purrloin. Does it suck you out to expend a shield? Absolutely. But with up a shield, you only lose 1 out of top 20. Up 2 shields, Bronzor is unstoppable. Bronzor wins all scenarios in the 2s. And no, this isn't just from this. If you actually do the multi-battle for it, if you see here, we go to the Little Cup, and we go to the Little Cup. Now, what if you go against, with up shields, watch what happens. Look what Bronzor actually beats, which in the 0 shield. It wins everything. There is nothing in the Little Cup that beats Bronzor with 2 shields. So a lot of people are like, oh, Cottonee with 2 shields wins. Cottonee actually loses against... Cottonee will lose with Bronzor with 2 shields. And even in the 0s, you still win 93% of matchups. You only have 17 losses. And your 17 losses are to... Charmanders? Chimchars? Or, yeah, Charmander are like to Scraggy... Slowpoke, you even beat Charmanders, you beat Alolan Diglett, Sandile. This is in the 0s, by the way. You only lose to, like, hard counters. That's pretty much it. You only have 17 losses in the no shield. Up a shield, you beat a majority. You only lose against 5 things. It's insanely powerful. And in the 2 shield against, like I said, we analyzed the top 20. This is what you win against. So if we do this, so if I go to default level, let's see, if I do my custom match, or do, like I said, all of the Little Cup, like this is all the Little Cup, you lose against a lot of scenarios. It's not looking well, guys. Bronzor is incredibly powerful. Like I mentioned, up 2 shields, nothing actually beats Bronzor in the Little Cup. You stick your Bronzor in the back with shields, it's very, very strong. Alright, so for this mon, I give it a 10 out of 10. No, literally, this cup is either you kill Bronzor or Bronzor is going to kill you. And what sucks about this Little Cup is that it's very RPS-y. If you lose your Bronzor, you have to... If you lose your... Like, Bronzor, yes, Bronzor will kill you, but it has so many positive matchups. You're not going to find a random Purrloin just running around, or a random Shadow Skuntank. So it's really annoying to deal with. And like I said, even if you do beat them, it's not a hard loss. See, Dino, Purrloin, none of these are a super hard loss for Bronzor. Bronzor, and even if it's, like, even if it does beat it, see how it's not like a Red X? Yeah, that's how good Bronzor is. There's nothing that double X's Bronzor in the meta, which is ridiculous. Bronzor alone, as you see here, wins 97%. Was doing a few simulations earlier, that's why you see Seal and Why Not. Do you see the difference? Here, it's just insane. 97% of wins. That is insanity. It is insane that this... Well, if it's so powerful that they probably should have banned it. But you know what? It's what it is. And it's, like I said, it's very, very powerful. Very strong, very powerful, very diverse. And there's a lot of things you can build with this Bronzor. For example... For this thing in general, I like Bronzor and Dino together because they both complement each other very well. If you look at this alone, your threat score is going to be F, but you're not going to bait a lot in this cup. But if you look at the meta scorecard, look at what you beat. It's pretty nuts, just like what beats, like what you beat, and like I said, there's nothing that hard beats you. Bronzor loses against Bronzor, it could also lose to Dino, and look at what you cover. There's like no holes. There's really, like, no, other than, like, the mirror, there's, like, no holes for this mirror. Or, like, Dino. There's, like, no mirror for this core. It's pretty nuts just how powerful this core is. Dino, why not? This is the BBML, as you see here. It is... Bronzor is... eclipses both of these. That's just how nuts that's how nuts Bronzor is. Now, the con with Bronzor, along with that, it's very expensive. Bronzor is going to put you deep in the dust pool. So, but like I said, it's very powerful. Even if you kill Bronzor, it's going to deal heavy damage. And if you win the lead with Bronzor, it's going to be very hard to come back from. because Little Cup's a very RPSy meta, if you don't have a Bronzor, you're gonna be behind. Because, like, even, like, I don't know a lot of people that are gonna have Purrloin or they're gonna have Shadow Skuntank. Even if you do invest in them, it's not hard losses. They're not super hard losses. And like I said, if you have Bronzor with 2 shields in the back, you still beat a majority of the meta. So, it's just nuts how powerful Bronzor really is. A strat you could do with Bronzor is literally save 2 shields with Bronzor in the back, sack your other 2 mons, break their shields, and poof, you just sweep the entire line. It's really powerful, and like I said, it's going to make or break Little League. I guarantee you, if you aren't going to try to win with Bronzor, you're probably going to try to kill a Bronzor. Or you're going to get lucky if your opponent doesn't have Bronzor at all, and they're actually playing a different team, because like I said, these ratings are nuts. Anyways, if you wanted my advice, is it worth investing in? Maybe not. I really recommend you look at, like, if you power up a Bronzor that you plan on powering up to a Bronzong for PvP, I definitely recommend you do that. Power it up and then evolve it later, double move it, and then use it for later. Because Bronzong is very useful. Not in just many silk cuts, but in the future, Bronzong is a very strong mon in general. It's going to be really good. That's my recommend how you do it. Find a good Bronzor that you're going to turn into a Bronzong. Use the Bronzor for this cup and then evolve it and then use it for later. That's what you can do. Anyways, I hope you guys have one day. I hope you guys really have a great time doing Little Cup. It's going to be a lot of fun, but like I said, Bronzor is incredibly oppressive in this meta. It's going to be have Bronzor or kill Bronzor. You guys have a great day. Please sub if you want. If you like the video, please like and sub again. You guys have a great day, and I'll see you on the next announcement.